Coming to you from sunny South Carolina, it's the Palmetto Conservative Show with your host, Jim Lee. From the upstate to the low country, from the coast to Columbia, we'll cover what's right and uncover what's wrong in the Palmetto State. If we see it, we say it. We call it like it is in South Carolina. And now, it's the Palmetto Conservative Show. Let's jam.
Welcome into Hour 2 of the Palmetto Conservative Show here on the Conservative Broadcast Media Network. I'm your host, Jim Lee, part political junkie, part technology geek, part commentator, and often snarky agitator for the application of common sense and the pursuit of critical thinking in the marketplace of ideas, particularly as it relates to the Palmetto State. I don't profess to have all the answers, folks, just an awful lot of relevant questions. Glad that you're back here with us. I like to call this Kakistocracy University. Where we learn all that we can about the corrupt people and the worst people who are in government at this point. Because one can simply not say, or one cannot simply say, that we are being governed well at this time in the history of our republic, and certainly in the history of the great state of South Carolina. Here in the Palmetto State, we've got some very serious challenges. We are a net taker when it comes to federal tax dollars. And recently there was a study that put us in the death spiral category and recommended that companies avoid those states that are in the death spiral where the ratio of takers to payers is so out of whack. Ohio was at the bottom of the top 10, number 10, and there we're at the tipping point. They're at a 1-to-1 ratio at this point. The worst, forgot the state, but it was about 1.43 to 1. South Carolina fell somewhere in the middle of that. But I digress. We're back. Hey, it's the holiday season. It's Christmas. Don't know what you're thinking about in terms of gifts for this most wonderful time of the year. But I can tell you there's one thing that's definitely not on my gift list that we've been gifted, and that is a brand new, bouncing packet of income tax reforms, regulations, whatever, 159 pages in size. So this year, for Christmas, we're all getting 159 pages of new IRS regulations. And who wouldn't want new IRS regulations? I mean, think about it. They're such a compassionate organization. They only have your best interest in mind. They want to help you so that you pay your fair share. And they're going to go out of their way just in time for Christmas to bundle up and package 159 pages of new regulations. Now, the highlights of this gift, in case you haven't signed up already to get yours, but don't worry. If you don't sign up, they'll get it to you anyway. The IRS is going to release new rules for investment income taxes on capital gains and dividends, as well as other things earned by high-income individuals that passed Congress as part of the 2010 healthcare reform law, affectionately known as Obamacare, also known, thanks to the Supreme Court, as a tax. So, these are new taxes that are a result of the tax that was passed that is Obamacare. The 3.8% surtax on investment income, meant to help pay for health care, goes into effect in 2013. It's the first of the surtaxes to be applied to capital gains and dividend income. But wait, there's more. No, you don't get another copy of this for just merely paying for shipping and handling charges. No, you really are going to get more if you've studied Obamacare in any way, shape, or form. And believe it or not, one of the best graphics that I've seen about all the implementation of the various things in Obamacare came from USA Today. And it described over the years from its signature in 2010 through implementation in 20 2012. Actually, some of the things went into effect. More go into effect in 2013, 2014, 2016, and so forth. But there'll be more. But this first surtax will affect only individuals with more than $200,000 in modified adjusted gross income, and married couples filing jointly with more than $250,000 of modified adjusted gross income. Doesn't that just warm the cockles of your heart, knowing that we can stop talking about AGI, adjusted gross income, and now we have a new acronym. We can talk about modified adjusted gross income. The tax applies to a broad range of investment securities, ranging from stocks and bonds to commodity securities and specialized derivatives. Wait a minute, weren't those the bad things that got us into this mess in the first place? Who in the world still has any of those? Oh, wait. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and Sallie Mae and many of the large banks, one of which we'll talk about in the next segment. So, yeah, I guess they're still out there. The 159 pages of rules spell out when the tax applies to trusts and annuities as well as to individual securities traders. Released late on Friday, which is a favorite of pretty much every administration, but particularly so with this current administration, the new regulations include a 0.9% healthcare tax on wages for high-income individuals. So if you're a high-income individual and you're an investor, you get a double whammy. Both sets of rules will be published on Wednesday in the Federal Register, which of course every American has access to and makes a point of going to read every single day because, well, the legislators have told us that they don't bother reading the laws, and the former Speaker of the House tells us that we have to pass these things in order to know what's in them, so it's incumbent upon us as responsible citizens to make our way to the Federal Register every day and check and see what's been added. Just as a heads up, next Wednesday, you can look for these new 159 pages of IRS regulations. The and hold hearings in April. Really? The rules are effective starting January 1st, but before making them final, we'll take public comments and hold hearings in April, 4 months after the rules go into effect. Talk about kabuki theater. A great question, I think. Glad I thought of it. I wonder how many rules are rescinded after taking public comments and holding hearings after they're implemented. Together, the two taxes are estimated to raise $317.7 billion over 10 years. That's $31 billion a year over 10 years. That $31 billion wouldn't fund the government for a day. To illustrate when the tax applies, the IRS offered an example of a taxpayer filing as a single individual who makes $180,000 in wage income plus $90,000 from investment income. The individual's modified adjusted gross income is $270,000. Now, here on the Palmetto Conservative Show, while I profess to be snarky, and while I certainly do my part to be an agitator, I don't profess to be offering classes in higher math. But stick with me on this one. It would seem to me that 180,000 plus 90,000 generally equals 270,000. Why does this require some special designator or label such as modified adjusted gross income? I mean, let's just keep it simple. The government is trying to get to a point of actually simplifying the tax process such that, whatever you make, send it into the government. There's nothing to modify, nothing to adjust, no addition, no subtraction, nothing magical. Just make it happen. The 3.8% tax in this example would apply to the $70,000, i.e., that amount over the $200,000 that applies. And at this point, the individual would pay an additional $2,660 in surtaxes. Are surtaxes just more formal forms of taxes? Surtaxes? Yes. The IRS plans to release a new form for taxpayers to fill out for this tax when filing 2013 tax returns. So, I guess this would kind of go in the face of the 1978 Paperwork Reduction Act or whatever, because we're adding more forms to the list. But hey, we're trying to simplify things. We're trying to make it easier on you. The new rules do leave some questions unanswered, many tax experts feel. It's unclear how rental income will be treated under the new rules. And one member, Michael Grace, the managing director at Milbank, Tweed, Hadley and McCloy, LLP law firm in Washington, said, "The proposed regulations surely will increase tax compliance burdens for individuals. There's clearly some drafting left to be done." Now, it seems to me that the drafting part is probably a little too late. That boat has already left the dock. So, even though they will be taking comments after the first of the year and holding hearings in April, if I'm a betting man, because Congress hasn't demonstrated the ability to actually rescind anything, we're going to see these taxes, these surcharges, surtaxes, go into effect on January 1st on high-income earners and those who are successful investors. Sorry, folks. Everybody's got to pay their fair share to take care of the new health care law. Merry Christmas, courtesy of the IRS. You're listening to the Palmetto Conservative Show here on the Conservative Broadcast Media Network. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a minute.
You said in the Rose Garden, the day after the attack, it was an act of terror. It was not a spontaneous demonstration. Is that what you're saying?
Please proceed, Governor.
It is in response to a video, a film. This is in response to a video.
Internet video that we had nothing to do with.
That was spontaneous? Was it a planned attack? Was there a terrorist element to it?
This is a response to a hateful and offensive video.
The video and its influence on the protests that occurred in Cairo and Benghazi. In response to this video, it was the video that caused the unrest.